very much, and my warm greetings from India, and my best wishes for good health and safety to everyone. Uh, I'm proud and privileged to have this opportunity to share my humble views at this illustrious forum. In my view, there's no crisis which doesn't come with a hidden opportunity for self-introspection. And it gives us an opportunity to reassess our priorities, to rebuild new paradigms, and redesign our world. So let us try to look at from that point of view. While quite appreciating the efforts being made and steps taken by various governments in India and other countries all over the world, there are some points which I would like to highlight which need greater attention. First, let us start with a positive one. Before this COVID crisis, what was happening was everybody was rushing, running fast, and competing with each other, and in the process, ignoring the family, ignoring our own health, and what for? Where are we going? That we didn't know, but we are running fast. With this crisis, there has been a pause button pressed, and we could be with our families and reassess our priorities in life, and perhaps let us understand the lesson that direction is more important than the speed. I will repeat, let us all agree that direction is more important than the speed. But there are some points which I need for highlighting. You see, I would link it to a broader picture of globalization. Since last 3 decades, we had the process of globalization on, and the aim was to produce a world which doesn't have boundaries, a borderless world. We used to say that world has shrunk into a small global village. There were no restrictions, and there were free movement of goods, people, ideas, technology from one country to another was allowed. Now, during last 4 5 years, we have seen emergence of certain forces dissent against the process of globalization, maybe because its fruits were not equitably distributed. But these the forces which were against the unified world idea, they took this opportunity and promoted their populist protectionist agenda. Now, with this COVID problem, they have got another tool to justify their agenda. And what we have seen is that there are governments trying to seal their borders. There is a sort of competitive nationalism taking place between governments and in sealing their borders and putting restrictions on outsiders to come. Now, this is against almost reversing the process of globalization. Now, even in our own country, we have seen not only the national government, even the state governments, they tried to seal their borders and to stop people from other states coming into their states. Even some cities, they also tried to do same things. And we needed passes to go from one place to another. Of course, there are no restrictions are being eased, but this has raised to another question that should this become the new norm? Should there be so much influence on the lives of everybody and occupations of everybody from various administrations? That is something which has to be uh, discussed. But the worst effect that I feel that has happened is, you see, the globalization was for shrinking the world into a small global village. And what has happened is shrinking of the minds and hearts of citizens. That is the worst damage that has happened. during this crisis and its aftermath in lockdowns. Our social fabric is torn, and each family, each individual is been treating itself as a separate island. We have become suspicious of everybody else, even of our neighbors, our friends, strangers. There's a tendency of saying us versus they, and as if that everybody is a suspect carrier of the disease. Now, this is something which is harming the society. Compassion is being replaced by suspicion, and this should not have happened in this way. Uh, that's what I feel. Another point that I would like to make is that there has been a tendency in many parts of the world, even before this crisis, that for any economic or social crisis, you start blaming migrants, you start blaming minorities. And then the focus is shifted from the basic problems to these groups. And if we feel that they are punished enough for that, and that will solve our problems. But that has not happened. And you must have seen the visuals of thousands and millions of migrant workers going back to their hometowns, villages during this crisis period. No, these images will haunt us for a long time. Why should they lose their jobs overnight? Why should everybody in the informal sector, which happens to be around 60 to 70% of the total workforce, why should they lose their jobs overnight? Why should they come out of their shelters? Why they have to again search for a new beginning? And that is something painful. We, of course, they may be returning back to their jobs after some times, maybe. But this has left scars on the society. And let us see if they form the bottom of the pyramid, and if the bottom of the pyramid is weak, can the upper layers of pyramid sustain themselves? Are they supposed to sacrifice for the safety of the upper echelons of the society? These are some things which we have to find answers to. If you see it another way, you see whether it is any crisis, any calamity, natural calamity like earthquake, floods, or anything, or man-made like terrorism, wars, or social rioting, etc. It is the poor population that suffers the most. Why? Why they should always suffer? And then why can't we consider poverty as another ongoing pandemic that has plagued our humanity since ages in all regions, everywhere? Why can't we tackle this poverty, which is clubbed along with unemployment, lack of facilities for healthcare, lack of education, lack of opportunities, inequality, social discrimination? Now, with this COVID effect, these things are going to increase further. Unemployment, social discrimination. You see, we said there should be social distancing, as my friend Professor Joran used to say. It should have been called physical distancing rather than social distancing. So now what it has become is, it has become from social distancing to social discrimination, isolation. And we can't afford to have that. All sections of society have to live together, and then only the society can prosper as a whole. Another idea that I have is, you see, of course, everyone will agree that national security is and sovereignty is important, very important. We should have all the things over our possible to do to ensure national security. Okay. But the way we are spending billions of dollars every year in procuring sophisticated arms and feeling that these arms, the missiles, the nuclear bombs, they will keep our population safe. Can't we spend even 2% of that budget into healthcare also? Perhaps if we had done that, if we had allocated some resource, more resources for education and healthcare, we would have produced more doctors, more paramedical staff, and more infrastructure for treating the patients. Please let us understand that people security is also important. A nation is not only its boundaries, it is composed of its people. And while national security should get all the importance, but at the same time, people security should also get importance. And we should have ways to let everybody feel safe so that the tiniest virus cannot harm us so much. Uh, BRICS countries have been a sufferer of this virus so much. So, what do we need? What do we? What kind of society we should create? A compassionate society, a society that is responsive to the challenges that may come suddenly, a society that is inclusive of every section of the society, whether poor or rich, with no discrimination based on region, religion, caste, creed, race, or gender, and the society that should be creative enough to find new solutions to new challenges. So I would like to give a new full form of BRICS, which can be taken as a mission for not only BRICS countries, for every country, every society. BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. This is what we know about BRICS. But as per me, the mission should be building responsive, inclusive, and creative societies. BRICS should become building responsive, inclusive, and creative societies. That should become our mission. And you see, this is, as I said in the beginning, every crisis should become a turning point for better decision making, for creating a better life, a better world for all of us, for the next generations to come. We owe it to our next generations that we give them safe, healthy atmosphere to grow all their potential. So, friends, let us we cannot afford to waste this opportunity. And let us all put our pool our resources together to bring about a transformation in the society, and the new normal should be a better normal. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and best wishes to everyone. Thank you so much.